Welcome to today's webcast about creating winning blended live and virtual auction and event fundraisers. We have our very special guests from MaestroSoft Auction and Event Software who are going to be presenting this webinar today. But before we get started, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping things you may have heard if you attended one of our webinars before. Just a quick recap. You will get a link to this webinar recording after the end of the presentation. It'll come by email within 24 hours. All of the audio for the webinar goes through your computer speakers. Make sure that the media player is active to get the sound and the video of the presenters. You can rearrange those little windows on your screen to suit your own viewing preferences. Close them, open them up, drag them around. Also, if your screen ever freezes or you don't hear the sound, generally what will get it unstuck is refreshing your browser. That gets things going. And to interact with the presenters, you can use the Q&A widget to send questions and comments, or if you have any trouble with the presentation, we've got a team of people who are responding to those questions. So, to kick things off, I am going to introduce you to Mr. David Jost, who is the CMO at MaestroSoft, who will be introducing today's presenters.
Thank you, Catherine. We're just very excited to be here, and I will just share that rather than being the CMO today, I will be the moderator, and I'm really happy to be introducing you to our distinguished guests here in just a moment. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up on what's happening today in terms of the flow and so that you know what's coming, we're going to provide you these introductions. We're going to hear from you, which is very important. This is a very interactive session. We're also going to share, begin right away with a success story, move into a little bit of the topic about blended live and virtual events. Then we will share a MaestroSoft overview and more client success stories. Again, really the focus here today, as well as the questions and answers. So I'm going to go ahead and move right to the introductions, and I'm going to take some time for both of these gentlemen to give a little bit of their background and say hello. So I'm going to begin with Ken Cleve, who is the co-president and chief operating officer for MaestroSoft. Welcome, Ken.
Hey, thank you, David. Thank you, Catherine. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I think that you're going to have a lot of great takeaways. And for the questions that don't get answered today, make sure you follow up with us. And that's what we do here at MaestroSoft, is help you raise more money. So I've been involved in the nonprofit fundraising technology industry for about 20 years. And for nearly 16 of those years, since the inception of our partnership with Blackbaud, I have been our partner liaison since 2005.
Thank you, Ken. And to the right, virtually, of Ken is Jay Fisk, who is the co-president and chief auctioneer at MaestroSoft. Welcome, Jay.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, Ken, for a little tee up on what you've done. I have been involved with the company since day one. I am the co-founder of MaestroSoft. We started the company back in 1995. I've been involved in raising money for great nonprofits like yours for about 31 years. Started as a benefit auctioneer and consultant. I've been continuing to do that all this time, and I love sharing what I've learned over these 30-some years with any nonprofit willing to listen and willing to accept some help. That's what I really enjoy doing. So hopefully today's presentation will help you along the way towards your successful event in the coming year.
Terrific. And you'll be hearing a lot more from these gentlemen in just a moment. But first, we want to hear from you. So as Catherine shared, please continue to provide questions and comments throughout in the questions box throughout today's session. I will work those in as moderator wherever time allows, and we'll have some time at the end to be able to come back to those as well. I really believe in kind of flexing our muscles and doing a little bit of calisthenics in terms of interactivity, though. So I'm going to ask everyone to please look at your screen right now. We are going to ask you a few questions that help us to sort of understand our audience a little bit better so that we can map everything very much to who's here. So the first question is, as you'll see on your screen, is which of the following best describes your experience and interest today when it comes to virtual, live, and hybrid blended fundraising auctions, galas, and events. Thankfully, the answers are very short, so you can answer that I'm just getting started, amaze me, put the challenge forward. I've attended a virtual, live, or hybrid auction event, and we'd like to launch our own. Or thirdly, I've planned hybrid, virtual events and auctions, or I've hosted them. We're looking for guidance on how we can successfully bring the best of both of these together. So I'm just taking a look here. We have, about 40% of you responding. Please take some time right now so we know you're there and that everything's working fine. Answer one of those. And I'm going to go ahead and just move forward. We're at about 50%. So you have just a few more seconds to participate. I would love to say fabulous prizes. I can't guarantee that, but appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and move forward. So we're looking here. I just didn't know what our results would be, but for Jay and Ken, so you know what we're sitting with today. We have about 30% just getting started, 17 who've attended an event, would like to launch their own, and then just over 50% of those responding are really looking how to bring the two together really well. So we've got a good mix. We're going to do one more question for you. I'm sorry, were you going to say something, Jay?
No, just going to say it looks like a good balance. About half have been planning events for a while, and hopefully they're here to learn something new. And the other half either have not done an event or have done one and have attended one and would like to get started. So it's about a 50-50 balance, and it's a good balance for us to get started with.
That's great. One more chance to participate and to also help us really map the content to you today. So do you have an upcoming virtual, live, or hybrid blended auction event or gala? You have three options here. Again, if you participate, I don't move forward till we've got 50%, if that's a challenge or enticement as well. We have an event coming up yet in 2021. Yes, we have an event coming up in the next 90 days, or not yet. We're considering future events, whether it's later this year, not yet set, something for next year, or just really conceptually you're looking at that. So really appreciate that. Again, we're just at about 50%. I'll give about 5 more seconds for everyone who can to respond. And I will go ahead and let you see. So drum roll, please. This is what we're looking at. Again, a really good mix, guys, and you can see the results as well up on the screen.
Okay.
And I'm going to move forward to this.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like about 2/3 have an event coming up within the next year, and about 20%, 25% of those in the next 90 days. So this, hopefully this is right on point today.
Okay, and back to you, Jay, on what MaestroSoft does.
Well, thank you all for attending today. In planning this short webinar, we wanted to come up with one line that describes what we as MaestroSoft have been doing for over 25 years. And quite honestly, it breaks down to we help our clients boost their revenue and reduce the stress on their volunteers and staff. And we do that through expert technology. That's what we do. And what you're going to see over the next 45 minutes or so is how we go about doing that. So one of the first things that we wanted to do as a company when we started 25 years ago was to take a lot of the repetitive work out of the planning process. Things that 25 years ago I was watching clients enter data in one database to do one thing, and then they would go to another system and enter it again to do a second task, and then a third task and a fourth task. And they were operating in 3, 4, 5, 6 different systems, all running asynchronously, all trying to do the simple tasks of tracking items and producing collateral material and tracking attendees and donors and doing thank you letters and handling financials and that sort of thing, all in a wide variety of systems. So we took the approach that let's see if we could put that all together in one package. Think of it as QuickBooks for auctions would probably be a good way to visualize that, where everything you need to do to run your your event is in one system. So when you enter data in one place and it needs to be literally in 20 other places, it's automatically there in those 20 other places, and that's how we increase efficiency and reduce stress. We also tried to focus on positive guest experience. What's it like for the guest when they show up at your event? How long do they stand in a cashiering line at the end of the event? How long do they stand in a check-in line at the beginning of the event? So we tried to make those experiences seamless for the guests as well. So there's literally no check-in line, no checkout line, and a great experience in between. And then all of that ultimately renders increased profit for the client, because if they're improving efficiencies, they're spending more time on the activities that boost their revenue and less time on activities that are just time drains. And if they have a positive guest experience, those guests are happier, and guests that are happier stay longer at the event, and they spend more money, and that ultimately increases profit.
Great. And speaking of client outcomes, we're going to begin with a client success story. So I'll let you go ahead and begin with our very first story here and take it from there, guys.
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to take you through some success stories. We've got several we want to take you through, but we thought we might want to come right out of the chute right at the beginning with one, just to kind of to let you know how we had to pivot last year to the virtual world. The first success story is Geneva Lakes YMCA, and these folks have had very successful events year after year with in-room traditional gala type activities. And because of COVID, of course, they weren't able to put everybody in the room they normally would and run their traditional event. They had to go to a virtual approach. We were asked by them early in their planning cycle to help them move to that virtual event, and they produced it in a very wonderful way. And the thing you'll notice here from looking at these screens is that these would normally be collateral materials that you might do for an in-room event. They wanted to make it feel as much as possible like an in-room event. So on the left-hand side, you're looking at the virtual event screen, and the auctioneer, which happened to have been me, it doesn't have to be, but it happened to be me, would be in the middle of those Oscars there, and the staircase and the red carpet. And so as you were watching the event, you had this very upscale visual. You weren't just looking at a YouTube video or something like that, but you're actually looking at an event as if you were at the gala. And then over on the right, where it says they save the date, they went ahead and produced physical collateral material as if they were going to have an in-room event. The whole idea was that make this look as close to a real in-room event as possible, and carry that theme all the way through with the collateral material, with all the presentation. In the lower right-hand corner, that's actually a charcuterie box. They call it Gala in a Box, and they ship those off to the virtual attendees, so the virtual attendees could actually host watch parties, or if they were sitting in their home with their family, they could watch the gala and eat the food as if they were at the gala. So again, trying to mimic an in-room gala as much as you possibly can, even though we're in a pandemic, and even though we had to do it, in a virtual environment. It even carried through to the production, I call it TV quality production. When you watch a virtual event, it should look like a television production. It should look like something highly produced, and they were able to do that. We included the framing around the auctioneer with the sponsors. As you can see, the sponsors there on the left and right-hand side of the screen. And then in the middle, the bidding was done by cell phones, so we were letting people text in their bids by texting GLYMCA, which of course is Geneva Lakes YMCA, to 71760. That's how the remote bidders were bidding. And then to the right where it says Kokodinsky Orthodontics, that was actually the bids coming in real time live. And as the auctioneer, I was calling those bids real time live. I was able to say, Jack's in at 2,000 now, Harry just jumped in at 2,100, and Jack's back in at 2,200. So we literally made it feel as if they were in the same room, as if an auctioneer was watching cards go up in the room, but we were doing it remotely through our text-to-bid system, and we were able to come very close to that real-time in-room experience. And of course, we do a virtual raise the paddle as well. We were allowing people to text in donations, just like we would do again in room with a raise the paddle or fund the need, fund a cause, stand up for kids, whatever you call your mission ask. We were able to do that remotely as well, and then render those results on a thermometer in real time as those donations were coming through and actually acknowledge the donor. We also wanted to make it convenient for people, if they did not want to text in the donation, to actually make a phone call. So we, doing the lower thirds, which is something we're able to do, we can superimpose a lower thirds message. We put down at the bottom, call to donate, and they had operators standing by to take donations on the phone. So this is how we took that in-room experience and made it as close as possible to an in-room experience, even though it was virtual. And how did that work out? Well, they had 263 total bidders. They had 1,900 individual bids placed, which is amazing. The event raised $80,000 net, which was actually more than they had raised in the past, believe it or not. They ended up with very happy sponsors, because the sponsors, instead of getting 4 or 5 hours worth of recognition, were able to get a full week's worth of recognition, because the people were going to the website or going to their cell phone and bidding all week long, and they were able to see those sponsors for a week-long visualization rather than 4 hours. So they had happy sponsors. The attendees very, very much engaged. They found that they were getting new donors that they in the past would never reach. They were able to get because of virtual. The donors didn't necessarily have to come to the gala. They were able to make donations remotely, and so they were able to actually expand their support network. And the tools to do all that were tools that all integrate nicely together. All of these play well together. The Maestro Auction Online, the text-to-bid. Of course, we provided the auctioneering service, and we also provided the virtual auction consulting, which included the visualization, rendering, the technical direction, if you will, of which you saw on those screens, all handled by our service. So that was a very successful event. So now we're going to talk about how you can launch your own successful event. And what I try and point out right from the get-go to clients is that we don't know what it's going to be like 6 months from now or a year from now. We know that about 20% of you, 22% of you are planning an event in the next 90 days. We probably don't even know what the next 90 days are going to bring, given the Delta variant, of the COVID virus. There may be another shutdown, God forbid. Hopefully there isn't, but we don't know. We don't know. We can't predict the future. So what I try and recommend to people is that they plan for a hybrid event, and then they can shift gears from there. If you plan for hybrid, you can go either way. You can go to full in-room, or you can go full virtual, or you can stay with hybrid. And the good news is, for all of you, you're actually closer than you think. Let's go back to that just a second. You're closer than you think. When you're used to doing in-room galas, you kind of know what that entails. But a lot of what you do in-room also rolls over into when you're talking about hybrid. You already know how to get sponsors. You know how to decorate. You know how to provide collateral material. You already have a list of potential donors of items. You already have a list of potential attendees. So you really are closer than you think to a successful event. Even if you've never done a virtual or hybrid event before, if you've only been doing in-room events, you really are closer, because probably 80% of the elements that you have to do for virtual or hybrid, you have to do for in-room anyways. You already know how to do that. So you really are, it is just around the corner for you. It is not starting from scratch. And so going hybrid would mean thinking about putting some remote bidders on screens in the room, but it also means putting some in-room guests at tables and serving them dinner, and having your auctioneer able to take bids from both the people that are in room and take bids from people that are remote, having a technology that allows you to do that. So planning for hybrid does allow you to swing either direction. If you can go stronger in room or stronger virtual, when you can pivot very easily if you plan for that hybrid approach. And so that just means putting in different elements. You know, it might mean it's adding a few more tables. If you can go stronger in room, you add a few more tables. If you have to go stronger hybrid, you take a few tables out of the room. You can add in elements, different elements. You can produce collateral materials to hand out in room, or you can do virtual materials for them to look on the computer. In room, you can add, you know, things like, I think that all those servers over there, they're serving the dinner, but they're also going to have like a special dessert or something like that. You can add a golf tournament element to it. So planning for hybrid really does increase all of your options. And as I said, you really are closer than you might think. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. And just so that you know, if you like this, and I'm sure you did, client success stories are what it's all about. We have more coming ahead. But first, we're going to just go back and turn it over to Jay and Ken to talk a little bit more about MaestroSoft. So you'll be rewarded after seeing this. Take it away, Ken.
Hey, thank you. As you can see here from the graphical display, we've been in business for an awfully long time, and that's not a pat on our back. That just shows that we have seen nearly everything when it comes to fundraising events, and we have helped clients in nearly every situation become successful. And here's a quick some of the highlights of some of our clients. I think what I wanted to call out more importantly was the number of events that we've been involved with, over 30,000, and that we've helped clients raise over $5 billion. And I think that number is low. It hasn't been calculated for a couple of years. And more importantly, for those of you on the phone that took your time to attend, we have been a partner of Blackbaud for many years, since 2005, as I referenced earlier. So much like Blackbaud, MaestroSoft offers an entire suite of solutions, not all of which you need to purchase. So this tile sheet here just shows an example of some of the things that we're talking about during these client success stories that many of our clients have implemented. Our solution does integrate with the Razor's Edge and NXT and eTapStream. We're going to talk about that right at the end. But I did want to share with you that there are many, many things that we do outside of just helping people run an auction.
Hey, Ken, I'm going to interrupt you real quick because we got a question in the Q&A box. Do you work with small nonprofits as well? Our budget is smaller than many of these. And interestingly, although we do provide a wide variety of services, we work with clients that are raising as little as $10,000 and some that are raising as much as $10 million. The tile approach that you see here is not an all or nothing approach. It's you choose the tile or you choose the service that relates to what you need to accomplish. And for some, it's only one of our services or two of our services, and very much, very much friendly to low budgets.
So to that point, Jay, if I may, a lot of people might be thinking right now, it's like, okay, well, when you say small, what do you mean by small? And we're not talking about amount raised, but anywhere, the cost for an organization to work with us is anywhere between $2,000 and $10,000, depending upon which services we help you decide that you need. So we don't make you choose. We'll consult with you. That's all part of our process. As we talk with you, we learn more about your organization and your mission. We learn about what you're trying to do with the event. Are you trying to cultivate major donors? Or are you trying to help meet a budget number? Depending upon the answers to those questions and dozens of others, we'll help you choose the right solution for you to be successful. Thanks for letting me interrupt, Jay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So all of our products are designed to be mobile friendly. There's a mobile world right now. I bet 100% of the people that are watching this presentation right now have their cell phone within arm's length. And although sometimes it's more appropriate and more convenient to use a laptop computer or a big screen desktop computer for rendering, it's also handy to be able to look on your phone. And so everything that we provide is pretty much mobile friendly and will render on mobile phones. And this could be something as simple as text to fund, which is a straight text to donate type system. You know, you're just looking for donations. You want to put an outreach out there and let people text in a donation. You can do that. Our Maestro Auction Online, which is our web-based service, and web-based online auction. Text-to-bid, of course, which is a mobile-based system, and just a virtual raise the paddle. All of those can be used directly on mobile phones. Maestro Auction Online is a web service we provide. You do not need to hire a web designer to build this out. It's all templated. It's very easy. Most clients can be up and running in a day or two with our Maestro Auction Online service. This allows you to track your items, track your donors, sell tickets to come to your event, produce an online catalog, even host an online auction if you'd like. Honor your sponsors with a website where the sponsors can be spotlighted. Your mission can be up there. This is essentially a full website that you might go off and design to promote your organization, but instead this would be a website designed to promote your event. And again, very, very much easy to use, very, very templated. Got a couple other questions that came on here. Virtual auction accessible for visually impaired or blind? That's interesting. I don't know how to answer that. Can screen readers read our information? I'm not sure technologically how that would be done. But if those screen readers can typically read a traditional website, then certainly it ought to be able to read our website. There's nothing unique about ours, any different than anyone else's website, I don't believe.
I'm one of the problem solvers here at MaestroSoft, and at the end we're going to give our contact information. The person that asked that question, I'm not able to see that chat window at the moment. Please feel free to reach out to me directly, and we'll talk about it. Thank you.
And another question that we got was whether we offer onboarding if necessary, and absolutely we offer a presentation of what we can do for you individually, and we can customize that for you, and we absolutely do offer onboarding.
Yeah. And I would just interject, we're going to be giving you a chance to let us know if you'd like a consultation, a demo at the end of the presentation. But in the meantime, if you want to make sure we capture that, feel free to drop us a note in the question box, or the chat box.
And I'm appreciating that the questions are coming in. I hope it's not distracting for everybody watching. I'm always of the philosophy that the question is important when it's asked, and we're going to do our best to try and answer them as we go along. If we do have to push some of the questions off to the end of the program, we'll assure you that all of your questions at some point will get answered, either during the presentation, at the end of the presentation, or individually post-presentation. But we'll make sure that any question that is asked does get answered for you. Okay.
Oh, the event optimization. Jay, I'll jump in real quick, and then you can give more detail, as you're a man of more words than I. That last question that came in about the presentation and onboarding process. One of the things that you'll find with working with MaestroSoft is that we won't sell you the service and then walk away. The vast majority of our telephone calls with clients are consultative type of questions, and those are all free to you as a client. We share ideas that we've learned from success stories from all of our events across the country. We share them around, and that's part of being the MaestroSoft family. Is you know that if you're sharing with us good ideas, we're going to share them with other people as well. For those organizations that need a little more in-depth consultation, or they want to take their events to the next level. Let's say that they've plateaued at 150,000 for the last 3 years, and they really need to make the jump by a couple of $100,000. This is where the event optimization services that we offer would come into play. And Jay, maybe you'd like to speak a little bit more directly to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our philosophy is that auctions or any kind of fundraising is a process, and not all processes are perfect. As much as we strive to make them perfect, as much as we possibly can, they never are. And so our consulting will help you identify those areas where you're leaving perhaps a little bit of money on the table, or plugging a hole that might be bleeding some effort in the wrong direction, that kind of thing. As Ken mentioned at the beginning, we've been doing this for, we have over 30 years worth of event consulting and experience behind us, and the company's 27 years old. So, we've probably seen it before. And we have a lot of resources. We have a lot of depth of resources to help you take your event to the next level. And plateauing should not be looked at as an end. It should be looked at as a launch pad to go to the next level. So if you find that your fundraising over the last several years has reached sort of that plateau, we can work with you, identify what you've been doing, and perhaps help you learn some directions that'll take you to that next level. We also can provide experienced auctioneers for your event. And a lot of clients have their own favorite auctioneer. Sometimes they've got a local celebrity or whatever they like to use an auctioneer. Our auctioneers are specifically suited to benefit events. Being a benefit auctioneer is different than being a commercial auctioneer. And so having that little extra understanding of how a benefit event needs to operate might work for you if you choose to select us. You don't have to, of course. If you choose to select us, we can absolutely guarantee you'll have an auctioneer that has been around the block a few times. And then also the technical direction of services, we also can provide that for a presentation as well. All right. So how does the planning process go? We'd like to look at the plan as not a linear, but rather a circle, meaning that you never really stop planning. I like to explain to clients that if your business was making Halloween costumes, on November 1st, you don't go out of business. You just start planning for the following, Halloween, October 31st, a year later. We look at events the same way. The day after your event, your planning isn't over. It just means your planning is beginning for the next event. So it's a circle. It's not a line. And so during phase one, we talk about pre-event planning, and this is where we talk about mission, we talk about goal setting, we talk about what's your desired outcome. Then we get you organized for that particular mission, to meet that mission, to meet those goals, to meet those outcomes. And then we start the procurement phase, the audience development phase, and getting ready to go logistically with your event preparation. And then, of course, we execute that event. We make sure it all comes together like it's supposed to. And then post-event, we do the wrap-up. We talk about what went well, what could have been improved, and then we start planning for the following event, and we roll back into the following event again. And the reason we do it this way is that we know that if you plan an event one time and then go out of business and then 6 months later start the business all over again, you're a perpetual startup company. You're never going to optimize your effort. But if you think of this in terms of a business that's always in business, it just runs through different phases, then you continue to grow. That's how most startup companies are. It takes them 3 to 5 years to become successful. And we want your event to take that same 3 to 5 year plan approach. So what makes us different than everybody else that's out there? I'm sure that many of you know there are a lot of people in the auction and event management business out there. And a lot of them have a lot of different tools. There are certainly mobile bidding options. There are website bidding options. There are live streaming options. There are people have thermometers. There are people that provide auctioneers. There's consultants and so forth. What makes us unique is that we have tried to pull all of those into one tent. If you look at the left-hand side, you'll see that you've got diamonds and you've got circles. All the circle items are typically found in a variety of different vendors. They happen to all be found within the MaestroSoft family of services and products. And then you look at the diamonds, and the diamonds are available out there. You can find video companies, for example, and you can find auctioneers and event managers and so forth. What makes us unique is that we've pulled all of those, the diamonds and the circles, into one place. So what does that mean for you as a client? It means that there's not going to be any finger pointing. It means that your success is going to be assured from the beginning, because all of the services and all of the products are going to play well with each other. There's not going to be some technical glitch because the one product doesn't integrate with the other product, or that one event manager doesn't understand the software, or one auctioneer doesn't understand how the process is supposed to operate. And so pulling it all together just assures your success. And this reduces your stress, this reduces your workload, and this boosts your profitability.
So I'm
And
going
I
to.
got a question here from, I see a question that came in. Do you see any indicators that live streaming will become a regular feature of in-person events beyond the street? And I'd like to answer that because I definitely am seeing indicators from a lot of clients, including a couple that you're going to see, that you've seen today or will see on our success stories, that are going to keep a live stream or virtual component to their events going forward. There's really no reason to make your audience only limited to the people that can fit inside of a ballroom. You know, when you do an event inside of a ballroom, you're restricted by both time and space. You're limited to the space, the ballroom, and you're limited to the time, the 3 or 4 or 5 hours that you run your event. But when you have a virtual component, you're no longer limited by time and space. You know, your space is the world, and the time is whatever number of days or weeks you choose to dedicate to having that event. So absolutely, I think going forward, you're going to, even when we're fully in room with hundreds of people in the ballroom, a lot of wise event planners will still have a virtual component.
Couple of quick things before we move forward, Jay. Thank you for the question, and keep these coming. So first off, on questions, please share questions, comments, anything that you have. As a further incentive, if you look to over Jay's left shoulder, if I've got my directions correctly, he has a book called The Big Book of Benefit Auctions. He happens to be the author of that, and it is everything you need to know. It's a great book, and we're going to be giving this away we're going to do a drawing from anyone who submits for a consultation for a meeting, which we'll give you an opportunity to do later. And I'll also include some chances for the drawing for anyone who submits really great questions. So please continue to interact, and we'll get this out to one lucky winner. So really appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and move forward at this point to what a lot of folks have been asking about, which is some more client success stories. So back to the guys to talk about the next story, which is from Ronald McDonald House Charities of Siouxland.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald House of Siouxland, again, always had a traditional in-room event. They called it their Red Shoe Shindig. This last year, because of COVID, they had to call it the Red Shoe Shindig Reimagined. And what they did is they just stayed with what they normally do. They had their two favorite MCs. They're there in the cowboy hats that usually would work the event in room in their ballroom. They had them up on the TV screen on our website. Our Maestro Auction Online website does allow for real-time streaming of video. In fact, you can have multiple streams. You're not limited to one stream. We have one client that puts up to 7 testimonial videos on their Maestro Auction Online website. So it's a nice feature of the website is that you can do a lot of videos. They honored their sponsors as they would in room. There, as you can see below the video, the live stream of the video, and they put on their event virtually and had quite the success. They integrated a local local television station that did some shout outs for them in the upper left-hand corner with some PR for them. They included a photo contest where people that are watching could submit photos, and you can see the auction items are in the middle of the screen. People were able to bid on the auction items by clicking on the item, looking at the details, placing a bid. They were able to bid also on their cell phone. You can see that in the upper right. And of course, they were able to thank all of their sponsors along the way. And as a result, they did quite well. They ended up with 74 donors. 44 of them were new for their Golf Classic event that they had this Red Shoe Shindig integrated with their Golf Classic. They did a basket raffle virtually. They normally do a basket raffle in room. A basket raffle is where you sell a bunch of raffle tickets and let patrons walk around and drop them in buckets or baskets or hats or whatever to win an item. The text-to-bid system automates the basket raffle for you. You can sell the tickets virtually through text-to-bid, and you can have the buyers of those tickets drop them into virtual buckets. And at the end, you click a button to say select winner, and text-to-bid will draw the winners for you. So you can still do raffles even though you're not in the same room. They raised $75,000, which was a $5,000 increase in net from the prior year. So, again, a great success story. You don't have to be in the room to have a successful event. and they 111 donors, 47 new, 100 new donors in 2020 thanks to text-to-bid with virtual. And one of the byproducts, by the way, a good byproduct of using text-to-bid is that bidders are opting in using their cell phone. Therefore, they're sending in a text which opts them in to be on your database of cell phone users. And because they've opted in using their cell phone, you can text back out to them one or many at a time to send messages or to invite to future events, that sort of thing, until they decide to opt out of your database. A cell phone database is always much stronger than an email database.
And then you see all the products. You see all the products used, of course. How does this compare to the previous success story that you'd shared, Jay?
Well, the tools were the same. Both Geneva Lakes YMCA and Red Shoe Shindig used all the elements that we offer, and both raised more net. One of the things I keep emphasizing net versus gross, as I'm sure all of you listening know, you can't spend gross on your services. You can only spend net on your services. So even though your gross income in a virtual event might be less than what it might be in room, a lot of the expenses you have in room go away. You're not serving meals, for example, or as many meals. You're not having to pay for large video screens to be set up. You're not having to worry about decorations and perhaps renting of equipment, things like that. So even though your gross revenue from your event might go down in a virtual or hybrid manner, your net is often higher because your expenses have been decreased.
Great.
Important point.
Thank you. As we move to the next session here, we have one that's hot off the presses, and a question had come up earlier. I'll just note, in terms of size of organizations, also in terms of types of operations and organizations. So this is a very exciting one, and I'll let you go ahead and take it away with this, Jay.
Yeah, this is one that I was personally involved in because I happened to be back in Charleston, South Carolina, for their event, working as their auctioneer. But this is a one of the questions came up is, do you work with smaller organizations that don't have huge budgets? Well, Dorchester Paws had a very small budget. They're not a huge organization. In fact, in prior years, they had only made about $20,000 from their fundraisers. So it wasn't a giant organization with a lot of budget. But we helped them. We helped them with their website. On the left-hand side, the ability to put together a really nice event website with, again, honoring all of the sponsors, being able to tell the story, tell the mission of Paws in Dorchester. We made bidding very easy for them using the cell phone through text-to-bid. But they also had a gala. They called it Prom by the Pond. And it was a live auction with digital elements. It literally was a hybrid because they had both the hybrid elements going as well as the in-room elements going. And of course, we let people bid on all the auction items on the cell phone, which you can see there. We also let them, the patrons do the wine pull, a virtual wine pull. We did a virtual heads or tails game, which was kind of fun. They could adopt a pet and pay a price to adopt a vet. They could put a lot of different ways in it. Each of these were different elements. You see 6 different elements here, which were all fundraising enhancements. Each of these added to their bottom line. And then ultimately,
Jay, and as you go back, I would just note too, one of the things, because it's a prom, and I think I don't know if I said this at the beginning, but this was just as we started to emerge to live events again, right? So this is a good example of pulling together elements, but it's also a way of having a theme and tying to that. So the last item, that one of the items that you see on here is this being a prom, you could actually go ahead and purchase your corsage. So.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. I didn't mean to skip over that. Yeah. And they were just emerging to COVID. It was the first in-room event that they were able to have in that area. And so it was kind of a coming out party. So how'd they do? Typically, they don't raise a lot of money. Their event prior was, in the $20,000, $30,000 range. but their goal was 40,000. They were hoping to hit 40,000, and they exceeded it by $35,000. We ended up at $75,000. They had 202 total bids placed, 57 different bidders placed at least one bid. They were able to sell sponsorships. The sponsors were incredibly happy, but even more important, they were able to go back to sponsors from the past and donors from the past that they lost during COVID and pull them back in again because they were putting on this gala. And all the sponsors, I was there at the event, and I talked to a number of sponsors that were in room, and they were just thrilled and were so happy to be re-engaged with the Dorchester Paws people. And a nice little surprise, they even had one person that did, on the spot, did a matching gift, a very large matching gift as part of the Raise the Paddle. We did a nice Raise the Paddle in room, and then this donor stepped up and said, I'll match what you just did. And so it really boosted their revenue, but over $75,000 raised. And again, they used all the elements.
So this is a great example. Before we move into talking a little bit about the partnership, there have been a few questions here. I just want to remind everyone, drop a note in the comments of the questions, and let us know you would like to meet for a brief demo. It could be 5 minutes with just some questions. These are not hardcore sales presentations. They're really consultative. We're with you for good kinds of sessions. And at the end, we'll have a poll as well. So please continue to do that. And with that, I'm going to move forward to having Ken kind of lead us through a little bit of a discussion on the integration, the partnership that we have with Blackbaud.
Sure. Thank you, David. One of the things that we knew we'd have an issue with time, so we're not going to go through a live query poll and list transfer. But what we did want to show you is that moving from left to right, these are the products with Blackbaud and MaestroSoft. They work together. But what I wanted to point out is that everything is linked to your constituent ID. And there's a more detailed graphic on the next slide that will kind of walk through that. Are you able to move me? Thank you.
Yeah.
Jay, did you want to say something? I'm sorry, please do.
Yeah. I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that real quick, if you don't mind. The thing that's really important to emphasize here is this is a complete integration, not an export import. You will hear database companies talk about, well, we integrate with with NXT, or we integrate with, oops, I hit my microphone, I'm sorry. We integrate with NXT, we integrate with Razor's Edge, we integrate with eTapestry. And really what they're talking about is they're able to get their data out of a database so that you can then pull it into your database. That's not an integration, that's export-import. What we have done is we've worked with Blackbaud since 2005 to literally be able to map fields in your CRM to fields in our auction software. And you'll see on the next slide, so that it's a full integration, and this will reduce a lot of post-integration work that you'd have to do, where you have to clean up the extra data that you pulled in that you didn't mean to pull in.
Whoop. Hold on a second.
Yeah, go back one.
Where do we go? Yeah, we moved.
You want to go back
there?
There we
go.
I think.
Okay, thank you. So this is the effectively, as Jay talked about, our planning. It's a circle. That's the way that the data moves within the MaestroSoft suite of services and the Razor's Edge. So this is the pre-event transfer. In effect, you set up a Razor's Edge query to determine who gets transferred out of RE. Right? You might have 10,000 records in RE, but you only need 300 of them for this particular event. So you determine who's going to get transferred, and you can do multiple transfers, by the way, using different queries for your various events. And this is just a graphical representation of that.
Yep.
So let's go here. There we go. All right. And this is effectively the process that was described on the previous slide. So you transfer your constituents from our system back to RE. There's a deduping situation. There's a deduping process so that you don't bring in multiple donors or create multiple duplicate records. There's also the ability to build new records, as Jay was mentioning. Most of our clients always bring in new donors. We want to build new donors into your CRM. Jay, you were going to say something there.
Yeah, what I was going to mention, just for clarity. Joe Jones may exist already in your CRM, and Joe Jones may have been someone that was brought by a friend to the event. So that Joe Jones brought by a friend in Maestro Auction is not going to exist in your CRM yet. So when we do the integration, the deduper will look for first a constituent ID in our software. If there's no constituent ID, it looks for the names and other matches in your CRM. It says, well, the constituent ID doesn't exist, but it looks like the person does. Would you like to marry up this person from Maestro Auction with the person that's in your CRM? And you, as the client, can make that choice. It doesn't automatically bring it in. That's what I meant by not having to clean up a bunch of junk after the fact. So if there's a direct link because there's a constituent ID on both sides, it makes the link. If it's missing, it'll try and find a match for you, and then it'll let you decide whether you want to create a new record or go ahead and make the match.
Jay, you always say things much better than I do. I'm too limited. Much more. I'll call it efficient. How's that? So thank you for that. So this is the post event, and it looks like I provided. There we go. I was going to say that they're missing a graphic here. So you can, as I mentioned earlier, you can create and customize different import templates. So if you have multiple events, you can create templates for each of those events, and you can get very specific in how you assign funds, appeals, campaigns, and packages. So that's the step one, or part one rather, and part two is you transfer the gifts with the payment info, and then part three down below are the results of what's come back in to the CRM.
We're getting some great questions, but I'm liking a couple of folks have said we're ready for a sales presentation. And thank you. Anybody that would like us to walk you through whether we're an appropriate fit for you, we're happy to do that. I think that David had mentioned that we'll make sure we follow up with each and every one of you on that.
100%. So Jay and Ken, hang tight on moving the slide because I'm going to be bringing up a poll for another chance to win here. So we're here to help you boost revenue with auctions, events, and galas, and to reduce stress with their technology and expertise. That's what we said. I've elaborated on a bit there. And the next slide, you'll have an opportunity to request a free consultation or demo. And there's a lot of things you can talk about. Again, if you would respond to this, if you could look at your screen, you have a chance to win the big book of auctions. If you want to hold that up again, actually it's in view there right next to Jay. And that, along with a consultation, will have you ready and set to really make some fundraising magic happen. So, if you know you'd like one, let us know. We'll reach back to you. If you're in kind of the maybe or not at this time category, go ahead and respond there as well. I'll give just a little bit of time for everyone to respond before moving forward here. We've got a number of people looking here already, and I will give you just a couple of minutes. Jay, if you want to get started, because what we're going to be doing next is questions and answers. I'm going to just leave this screen on for a minute because people are submitting. Go ahead and field some if you'd like to, and please continue to submit those, folks.
Yeah, I'm looking for the questions. I've seen a couple here, but I don't know how to get to the rest of them. Let me scroll down here a little bit.
Yeah. So there was a question that had come up earlier, and it was just about, what are some of the big benefits of doing the live streaming in terms of like, one, what do you really gain from from having the live streaming versus what do you lose? In other words, do you hurt your live attendance?
So having a virtual element, I guess the question is, would you cannibalize your live event by offering a virtual element? Would that be the right way of saying that?
Yeah, I think that's a great way of saying it.
Yeah, it's a great question. The answer is that people are social animals. They do much better in groups, having more fun than alone. And so if you can get them into the same room, it is there's more energy than being individually watching remotely. Now, sometimes people have to watch remotely. They have no choice because they just can't get to your gala. But it'll always be more engaging if they're actually there in the room. And to encourage people to come be in room versus watching virtually is give them a reason to be there in room. For example, you're going to serve a wonderful meal. They won't get that wonderful meal necessarily served if they're at home. Also, reserve some of the live auction items for just in-room only. So, for example, if I was your auction consultant and you were going to sell 10 items live during your live auction, I might say, well, sell 5 items to everybody in room and watching virtually, and the other 5 reserve those only for people that are in room. So, and those would be some of the items that would attract people to come to the gala. So now, if I want to bid on that particular, that trip to the valley or that very special dinner or those, VIP tickets to a ball game or something, I have to physically go to the event and bid on it in person. But some of the other things that are in the live auction, I might be able to bid on those virtually. So give them a reason to be there, and they'll come, and it won't cannibalize by having a virtual element. The advantage of having the virtual element is that you can pull people in that are geographically not able to get to the event. We had a virtual event last year, for example, where every year this particular client had a 300-person gala, and they had to go virtual. And when they went virtual, they ended up with 700 bidders across 26 states. And those 700 bidders across 26 states would never have traveled to be in that room. But because it was an alumni situation, even though they were spread around the country, they were able to participate virtually. So I would not discount the ability to still do virtual, even though you're going in room.
So Jay, there's a question that came in. I've moved forward to the questions and answers slide. Those of you who still want to submit for a consultation or demo and a chance to win, just drop something in the question box. But the question that was raised was, for Ken or Jay, do you have to enter a constituent code for every guest registered into MaestroSoft?
No.
No, you do not. And one of the benefits of using us is that for new people in the database, it happens in the second part. We don't have to go back to the slide. We can do that during a demonstration and show you that it will create a new constituent ID for the new donor.
That's great. We are at about that time where we're going to do some thank yous. We're going to make sure that you all know that we also continue to enter the questions for the next few moments, and you have contact information here for both Jay and Ken, as well as there should be some links in the resource section of your dashboard. If not, you will get these in a follow-up, but share them. We get back to everyone, and no question is too small, no situation is too minimal. We are happy to talk with you. I'm going to take some time to just first off close this out officially. MaestroSoft, who brought you to this session, is the trusted advisor, leader in virtual live auction software. We've shared with you about our products, Maestro Auction Online, Maestro Auction, software management, text to bid, virtual mobile bidding, text to fund, and we've talked to you about what all of these do. So I'm going to go ahead and just thank Blackbaud, thank Catherine for the introduction, and then I'm going to go around and begin with Ken, just to be able to provide some thank yous, any parting words as we close out today. Ken, take it from you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, David. And one thing that I do want to call out, especially for the recording or for anyone taking notes, while Jay and I work very closely together, we do not share the same telephone extension. My extension is 105.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to attend this. We know we're in this business with you. We just happen to be a technology vendor, but our true passion is helping you raise more money for your mission. All of us here at MaestroSoft are involved in some sort of not-for-profit on our personal side as well. So we really do understand, and we try to do our best for you. And I would welcome any emails or direct contact at extension 105. And I'm happy to at least have a conversation with you. You can share with me what you're doing, and I can share with you some maybe some tips or pointers, even if you don't utilize us.
And I'll share with you, Ken, I probably missed the 5. The great news is that anyone who picks up the phone at MaestroSoft is more than willing to help you. I've experienced it myself, so it's great. And we're going to turn next to Jay Fisk to be able to share some parting thoughts, final thoughts, as well as any thank yous you'd like to offer. Jay.
Yeah, thank you. First, Catherine, thank you so much for setting this up, and thank all of you for attending. It is absolutely our pleasure to put this together for you. Ken's extension is 105. I want to mention that. Ken handles anything on the sales side of it. If you are looking for set up a demo, or you want someone to reach out to you with some pricing or whatever, please contact through Ken. If you just have a question about how do I raise more money, how do I get started, you know, or we've reached this plateau, how do I get to the next level? I love fielding those questions. I'd also like to encourage you, all of you, to let us get you on our mailing list, because every week we send out a little email of you know, just with a tip or something like that. And at the bottom of that, it says "Stump the Maestro," and I am the maestro, and we solicit your questions, and it's a chance for you to ask me directly, how do I fix this problem, or how do I enhance this, or how do I handle a situation? And that's the Stump the Maestro, and I love getting those inquiries, and I respond to them right away. So thanks again.
So, yeah, thank you, Jay. And so we'll let Catherine close out in just a moment. Just so you know, at the bottom of this slide, you see our website, www.MaestroSoft.com. If you just put a / and the word demo after that, you will also be able to go directly and sign up for a demo. So, so please take care of that. And then again, thank you, Catherine. We're going to let you close us out.